We'll do it live.
Now we're live. Erin Kennedy. The general craziness of it, the impact on your life.
We have gone through so many stories and we said, you know what? This should not be kept to the two of us. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Erin.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm so excited about today. I can't even tell you.
Me too. Me too. Tell me though. Tell me.
Okay, so the person that you're going to meet in another couple seconds is one of my best friends. We met each other at a time where we were both really new to the business. We were in the morning hours, in the dark of night, trying to make it through, figuring out life in TV, and then just kind of growing together. It has been, though, 15 years.
Right.
Since Jen Herrera and I have been on the same camera at the same time.
Until now.
Yay.
Welcome,
I am
Jen. It's
so
so good
excited.
to see you.
You guys, I have goosebumps. First, I had goosebumps when it said broken news. And then I was seeing the pictures of you guys and the words you were saying about the industry. And then Megan, hearing you talk about our early days. I mean, literally, I'm covered right now because, gosh, is it relatable and does it bring back some interesting stories?
Well,
Good
we
and
call
bad.
it TV PTSD. Yeah.
It's true. I mean, obviously to a different degree than most people relate, but yeah, it does a number on you.
Well, it's so good to like talk to you, Jen, because I feel like I know you because Megan would regale us with stories all the time about you guys eating, I think it was M&Ms and Twizzlers and Diet
No,
Coke for breakfast at like 2 in the
Rainbow
morning.
Yes. And Skittles. We had a lot of Skittles. Oh, that's because we were
were
20 something
so
years
good.
old.
We couldn't do that now. I mean,
No.
I wouldn't want to, first of all. So I need to tell you guys, though, Jen and I were at the beginning, like I said, the beginning of our career when we met and we were working together. Jen has a so interesting story, which is really unusual in the business, that she interned at the place she made it to the very tippy top of without having to leave. So Miami's where she grew up. Miami's where she's worked. Miami's where she's been the whole time. Now, when we were working together, we had this saying, and it went a little something like this, Jen.
That you never ride the train back down.
That's right. And that meant to us, like, once we make it to the pinnacle of our career, we don't want to be those women like still clinging to the last bastions of wanting to be on TV. Like, it's time to pivot, reevaluate your life, and move on. So I feel like when we have conversations today, that still comes up to a certain degree because I'm like, wait, is this like, yeah, this is a good choice. Like, because I don't want to ride the train back down. That has stayed fresh in my mind.
And I think with that said, it's important to point out that we were very blessed that we had the option to kind of step back and evaluate our situation, right? Given our family structure, our marriages, that we had the opportunity to kind of take that deep breath and say, okay, what do we want to do? But I do, and I think about that pledge, if you will, that we made to one another at, 24, 25 years old. And I think it's important as far as self-worth, because, and Erin, I'm sure you can relate to this, when you're on television, when you have any sort of high profile career, I imagine you associate who you are with what you do. Like,
Absolutely.
That's it. I'm on TV. That's what I am. And so it was like, okay, no, I'm not going to just cling onto this career because I'm on TV, because I'm in the public eye. Let me take a time out, look at the cards have been dealt, the cards that have been dealt to me, and kind of see where I need to go and want to go now.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about your journey? I think Megan touched on it, but I had heard that before. Like, you never start in the mailroom and work your way up in a news station. So, I mean, that's real testament to your talent. So it was Miami and you kind of took a step back and now you're kind of back in, right?
Yeah, so I started when I was 18 years old. I was fresh out of high school. I got the opportunity to intern at a local TV station. Ironically, it was the station I had grown up watching. So, anytime you get to a TV station, like, oh my gosh, these people. Well, I had literally grown up watching the people who I was interning with. And I delivered the coffee and used to tear the scripts off the machines. And I would run the scripts. And I would take notes, and I remember them complimenting my penmanship. I mean, when I say I started at the bottom, I started at the bottom. So that was before my freshman year of college. I would go to Florida State University every year for school. And then every single summer, I would come back to the same television station and I would intern again. So I always say my girlfriends were like partying in the Keys and in Mexico and doing all these cool things. And I was interning, but I loved it. I mean, I think you guys can relate. That first time you walk into a newsroom, when you realize it's truly your passion, like I couldn't get enough. I would intern an 8-hour day and run home and watch the news. I mean, that's just how I just truly loved it. Like I was like, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be. Mm-hmm. And then when I graduated college, I was offered a reporter trainee position at that same television station. And so I was a general assignment reporting, but very few stories. I mean, I was literally I was still learning. And then they offered me the on-air traffic anchor position for the morning show, which in Miami, LA was doing it. I think New York was doing it. But at that time, nobody else had a traffic anchor in South Florida. And so it was a brand new position and I started doing that. And a short time later, Megan came to do the weather. And so we were stuck in this little office for hours every day.
Room with like a sliding glass door. And we would come in like, exhausted. And like, this is the place where I had just gotten married. Jen would get engaged and get married, have her first child. So like we went through all of those things together in that moment. And like, we were like, attached at the hip during that whole time. Mm-hmm. For sure. I mean, we could go on forever with stories of like what that time was like. But I think what's important within the scope of what we're doing now is what happened after. So I moved on. I went to New York. Jen and I, of course, kept in touch. Her career at that station continued skyrocketing until it didn't.
Yeah. So, Erin, I don't know if Megan's told you this about me. I'm a little OCD. I'm quite the planner. And so,
yep.
I literally have a piece of paper somewhere. It was like, I wanted 2 kids before I was 30. And around that time I wanted to be a main anchor. And I'm not going to say I was lucky because I did work. I worked very, very hard. So I anchored the noon show and then I anchored weekend mornings and then I anchored weekend nights, eventually got an evening anchor spot. And then I got the morning anchor spot, which at the time of my life, I had 2 young children, which that's what I wanted. Erin, right? That's
absolutely.
It's perfect mom shift.
Yes. As long as you don't sleep.
Yeah. I mean, who needs sleep, right? Who needs sleep?
Yeah. Later you realize you do.
Yeah.
And then you're like, oh, this is important, right? I do need sleep. So I did that for a few years and management changed at the station where I was. And, for anybody watching and you don't know, if you're in TV, you do know it's a very fickle industry, fickle to the point where I don't like your eye color. I don't like your hair color. I don't like this. It comes down to stuff like that. Maybe it was more with me. I don't know. All I know is that after I worked at the television station from when I was 18 to 34 with always above excellent reviews, like above average, never a complaint. And one morning I got called in and said I was getting demoted to weekends. And I said, no, I'm not. And I came home and told my husband, he said, can you work until we pay off our pool? And I said, yeah. And so I worked a few more months and then I left. It was really hard.
Now, Jen, I was trying to remember, because as Megan and I have shared, some of the feedback that we've received over the years. In one market, I was told that I was kind of too polished and too smart. And she said something to the effect that you had received similar feedback, that you were kind of too smart for the market.
Yeah. Well, first I was told I didn't sparkle, which that one was kind of like, okay.
What?
And then, what does that mean? Do I need more powder, less powder?
I wasn't really sure. Gosh, and I want to get this right. I don't want to mess this up. But how we all get our Q ratings, which is what viewers think of us.
Your likability. Yeah.
That morning when I was called in to say I was getting demoted, he said, my news director told me that my Q rating, the viewers said I was intelligent, professional, and attractive, but that's not what they were looking for.
Right. But didn't they offer other adjectives instead? Wasn't it like they wanted sexy, not attractive?
No. That wasn't said then throughout my career. Oh no, bubbly. They wanted bubbly. That's what it was.
That's right. Yeah. And I think bubbly. I remember telling you in that moment, yeah, you're not bubbly. Like, nope, that's never going to be you.
No, it's not my personality. I remember calling Megan in the parking lot. I think I called my husband first, told him I was leaving. And then I called Megan and then I was like, how can I be intelligent, professional, and attractive? And that's not enough. But and that's when it was kind of like, yeah, I'm not going to be that. I'm not bubbly. That's not my personality. great. Look, Megan's my best friend. Megan's pretty bubbly, you know, but that's just not, that's not
her.
who I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
sure,
me.
yeah, you guys have heard similar things.
And we've talked about that. I was told to be less Megan, which meant, can you please be a little less bubbly?
Tone it down.
Tone it down, Megan. Can you be a little more serious? Can you? And it's like, yeah, you can to a degree, but if you hide who you are, you're no longer going to connect with the viewers like you did before, because now you're not being you.
Yeah. And I think, guys, it's also the time when we all came up versus the time now. When you see what people, what broadcasters, what journalists, because I think the term should be used a little loosely now for some, but when you see what they're doing now, not only on air, but on their social media, that's 100% acceptable. We were not, that was unheard of. I mean, I remember the Miami Heat were in a playoff run, and one of the players was the Birdman. And so we all did, it must have been Instagram or Facebook. I mean, I don't even think TikTok was around. And we did like this, Birdman thing. And we were flapping our arms, and there were like 6 of us in the shot. And I was called in to say, that's unprofessional. You're in charge, or you're the whatever. You have to make sure that doesn't happen. And then I see what people like journalists are doing on their social media now, and it blows my mind. Yeah, and listen, it is what it is. Like, so many things have changed, right? And it is what it is. But I think the standard and the expectation when the 3 of us, we're coming up and we're in high-ranking positions, let's say. I don't know, for lack of a better term.
Yeah, that works.
I think it was different. I think the expectation was different. I think a lot more is deemed acceptable.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think part of it, Jen, I was in a top 50 market anchoring the evenings when I was 20 something. And so it's like, I wouldn't have done anything that wouldn't have presented me as like buttoned down and very professional. So it's kind of conveying that image that you think you should.
And I think when you start off as young as we all did in your early 20s, you try to look older. You try to come off more mature. So
we probably look younger now than we did then, trying to look older.
For sure. I mean, I remember the first time
the other day, I wasted the best years of my body trying to look older.
Totally. I mean, I remember the first time we were allowed to wear sleeveless sheath dress, on a dress on air. That was huge, guys, because it was all suits, and short hair. I mean, my hair is the longest it's ever been on TV right now, and I'm 41 years old.
Right. Can you talk, Jen, about like we together had different people tell us things, and those things were like revolving around how they wanted us to look, how they wanted us to act, all that kind of stuff. But like we also had to address to a certain degree weight at that point in time. Yeah. Didn't we?
Miami is a very special market in a lot of different ways. Just a city, overall, take television out of it. But yeah, there was definitely pressure to look a certain way. I remember vividly that when I was called in for the traffic position, which traffic's full body, like weather, I was told, just make sure you wear those tight pants and tight sweaters when you're on air. So yeah, and I... okay, like what that means. Like nothing was said inappropriately, but you know what that means. And there was a Meg, you'll remember this, a consultant or some guy who came in at one point who would never be allowed in a TV station today.
Not now. Did he grab your leg?
He like put his hand on my leg, like so. When it's just, 23 years old now, I'd punch him in his face, but like
not then.
And I remember him telling me I was a little a little full for the camera, and I was like, okay. You
were so upset about it. I remember you telling me that.
For that. Yeah,
contemplating like how much weight do I need to lose or whatever. And like at the time, now looking back on it, it like literally makes me sick. But at the time, I think we were just like, ooh. And then I remember being like, ooh, I wonder how, am I okay? Like he didn't say anything.
Remember the Paunchy? Was it the Paunchy comment, Meg?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. I wore a button-down shirt. I was trying to like thread the needle between like cute and stylish and like suits, I don't know, whatever. And so I wore like a button-down shirt and a pair of pants, and they were like, no, it makes you look like you have a paunch. And I was like, I think first of all, we had to like
from management, not from a viewer.
I don't even remember who. No, I think this was another person at the station, like another.
It wasn't a viewer. Yeah, it definitely wasn't a viewer because viewers can be horrible. We know that. But no.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
There was a viewer when Jen was pregnant with her daughter, Mackenzie. Okay. So, like, you're already in this vulnerable position of having a baby, then putting yourself on the air, standing there,
And
full
nothing
body
fits.
traffic, right?
Oh,
And
yes.
she got
I blocked the whole map. I mean,
yeah.
I blocked it.
Uh-huh. And this guy was like, "You look like a stuffed sausage."
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
then she's coming back like, "Oh my God, I have to go on the air the rest of the day after that."
And then I'll never
Yeah.
forget, by the time I was pregnant with my second daughter, a viewer emailed me saying that I should get new shirts because my boobs were so large. I mean, I was completely covered, but because they were so large, apparently she was offended. And by that point, I was like, if you have a problem with my butt or my boobs, you should see my butt right now. Like, basically, what do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? You know, we can laugh about it now. Obviously, inappropriate things happen that should have never happened. And, you know, I think it's something to think about, especially with daughters, like a 20-year-old woman versus us at 40 years old right now, what to tell them now to prepare them. With that said, and maybe it's different now, I think they're coming into this industry. We knew, right, guys? I mean, we knew that there was an expectation when it came to what we looked like, whether it was fair or not.
I think I probably got a couple jobs because people liked how I looked, or maybe all of them. I don't know. And at the time, you don't really think like, I would rather be valued for my intellect. You're like, yeah, man, I got the job. And like, it's exciting. But then later, as you get older and, as a woman in the industry, you're not going to be that super young, super hot one anymore. Then you start to realize like, oh my God, those women that I took the job from when I was young, now like they feel like maybe we feel now. And it's a difficult, like very up and down roller coaster. And it's because the wrong things are valued in many cases, I think.
Yeah. And I think it changes from, every few years to every few years. I'm pretty sure the three of us know that experience isn't necessarily a priority anymore, as much as budgets tend to be a priority sometimes. Mm-hmm. That's a hard one, right? That's a hard one when you work so hard and you know that you're good at your craft. It's not just
when you do believe in journalism with a capital J, right? And then when you get rid of people who have market equity and know what said government officials said 10 years ago and holding them accountable today. It's to no fault of a current reporter if they're new to the market that they don't know that, but that equity isn't valued.
Right. It's not. And maybe the women whose jobs we took would say the same thing about us coming in.
Yeah, maybe. I wondered that too. Yeah.
It would be interesting to have that conversation.
Yeah, because you're right. And like I said, it's an up and down roller coaster. And this is why Jen and I were like, hey, we're not writing it back down. So we'll talk about it. We're going to do 2 episodes with Jen because I think it's really important that we talk about another thing that happened, a health condition that Jen had based on probably in part wanting to look a certain way, right?
For sure.
And maybe in part for TV. So we're going to talk about that. But before we let Jen go on this one, we've got to do the questions, Erin and Jen.
Our questions. All right.
Megan just had an evil look on her face, Erin. I'm
I think I might know some of these
answers. You're being intimate before. Just you wait.
Oh boy!
Tell us the craziest place you've peed.
Okay, so this is funny. Megan, did you like purposely cultivate this question for me? I pee a lot. Like I always joke that I have the smallest bladder. I've peed in a lot of places, not proud. I'm much more careful. I've been much more careful lately because there's cameras everywhere now. But the craziest place I've ever peed was probably in the hallway of my college dorm, in the inside hallway, not outside, because I was probably out that night and we had a bathroom in our room. And all I know is I woke up in the hallway and I had to go really badly. And I was like, what am I going to do? And the doors would lock automatically behind us. And I'm banging, my roommate's not waking up. So I went into a little corner and peed. And some guy walked by and said, when you got to go, you got to go. And I was mortified. So yeah, that's probably the craziest.
You know what? I think you might win. If we have a contest done,
so,
I think you might win.
I think so. I mean, genuine.
Well, and real quick, do you remember the game Never Have I Ever?
Yes.
Okay, so eventually I got into another friend's dorm that night because my roommate would not open the door. Weeks later, the roommate was at a party and they were playing Never Have I Ever. And some guy goes, seen a girl peeing in the dorm hallway. And my friend knew it was me, knew that he was referring. I was like, oh God.
That was a good game though too.
Not
All right,
much, so much.
craziest viewer letter or comment.
You know, it probably is also when well, we used to get letters from guys in jail, like when they
Yeah.
actually used
Jail
to write
mail.
letters,
Mhm.
right?
Jail
But
mail.
I mean, I think we all had that. Megan mentioned when I was pregnant with my first daughter, my fingers were so swollen that I couldn't wear my rings. And so I would wear this wedding band actually and ring around a necklace. And a viewer wrote me saying, you should be ashamed of yourself being pregnant on television and not married.
Did you write that person back?
I don't remember. Like, honestly,
Was
tell you,
it
I
a
don't
letter
remember.
though? Because I feel like when Jen and I were working together, it was 50-50 email and actual letters.
This was an email. Like, I remember sitting in our traffic and weather office and opening that and being like, wow, okay. Yeah.
Look, I am married. Just can't put the ring on.
Yeah, I mean, my fingers are just swollen, lady. Like, I don't know. And it was a woman.
Yeah.
That's the thing. A lot of the mean stuff comes from women.
Most of the time.
Yeah. Probably more often than not. Okay, most dangerous assignment.
I mean, I covered a lot of hurricanes. I got hit by a tree once. They actually used to use my video in the safety lessons for hurricane coverage. It looked worse than it was, but I would say probably when I felt the scaredest, and I think it's because I was a mom, because doesn't it change, right? When you go out to report certain stories, once you become a mom. Moore, Oklahoma was hit with a horrible tornado, and they flew, it was like 7 o'clock at night. We flew out at like 4 o'clock the next morning. And my photographer and I were there. And I remember, I think we flew into Dallas and then drove to Moore. I don't remember exactly. But I remember the drive, and it was my photographer and I, and, you know, I'm born and raised in South Florida. Okay. Now I'm not used to this. And I looked up at the sky, and it was like this emerald green, black color. And the clouds were starting to, and I was just like, oh my gosh, like, because the weather was turning again. And I remember being like, what am I doing? Like, why am I here? And I knew why, but when you're a mom, I think it changes. And then my photographer, Bob, was like, okay, there's a ditch right there. If it gets bad, we'll drive down, you know, to the car for the lowest point. And that was scary. I have a lot of Cuba stories.
It's not worth this, right?
That
Isn't worth it.
But then I remember, Meg, I remember the stories I told and the couples I met and the finding things with them. So that scary moment, no, I remember thinking, why am I not home with my babies? But then I think, look at the work I did. And it's like, okay.
Yeah. And how it is an honor to tell people's stories, especially when they are vulnerable like that.
Yeah. Their hardest times. Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
All right. Tell me you worked in TV news without telling me you worked in TV news.
I mean, right? The big hair. I feel like we always go out and our hair has to be like, don't you guys do this all the time? Yeah.
Yeah.
Erin literally has a little pick.
Yeah, I mean, I can't do this. It just doesn't. No, I need like, yeah. Well, I would say the hair.
And you probably also like don't care about the back.
No,
only this that you can.
Who cares about the back?
No
one cares about the back.
No one's behind me.
Yeah, no, I'm not looking at it. Oh.
Longest time on air.
Okay, so Megan, I think you were here for that. There was a summer I was pregnant, because I remember they kept bringing me food on the anchor desk, when horribly several police officers kept getting shot in South Florida. And I think I was on the air from like 10 a.m. until 4 p.m. I mean, straight, because there was a chase, and it was this whole thing. And this happened like, gosh, every couple months. I can still remember the officers' names. It was wild. And that was probably the longest like stretch of sitting there, because I remember them bringing me water and snacks. And then hurricane coverage, of course, is 12-hour shifts. Those are broken up. But as far as on air, it was during this horrible time when police officers were getting shot in South Florida.
Yeah. All right. A talent or skill or life lesson that you learned working in the TV trenches that's carried forward that other people can apply to their lives.
Okay. My biggest life lesson would be, you can be loyal to a fault. That I learned when it comes to TV. So don't do that. And then TV talent, I can memorize things really quickly. Right.
And regurgitate them really well.
And I don't know that can be taught in just this quick little thing. I would just say rereading things helps, and then visualizing it. So like if I read a line, and I'll read it a few times, and then I literally picture the sentence as I'm saying it over. So it's crazy. I can memorize stuff very quickly.
Right, because you had to memorize it quickly and then spit it out on the air when you're live on whatever scene you're on.
Yeah.
right?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I've
All
got
right,
another
so-
good one. If you're about to cry, put your fingernail in your cuticle.
Really?
And you won't cry.
Ooh, I didn't know that one.
Why does that
Yeah.
work?
Well, if I ever have to read like a really sad story or if I start laughing on air
Oh
sometimes.
God, I wish you told me that, Jen.
Yeah, you dig your fingernail into your cuticle and it hurts. And so you can't help but to like
Focus
get
on
yourself
that.
together. That's a good
Huh.
one. Yeah,
Ooh.
that's a good one.
That's a good one.
You're welcome.
Life
Well,
lessons from
I
Jen
hate to say it, but
Herrera.
you are a decade too late for that one.
I'm sorry.
2 decades too late. All right, Jen, can't thank you enough. We will see you soon. Everybody, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe.
Thanks, guys.